back to the Scorecard Podcast. This is episode 2. As you can tell, we have a special guest today. And who is our special guest?
Hi guys, I'm Zach. I'm Gavin and Shield's friend. I'm also a very big sports fan, so I'm excited to be on the podcast. And hopefully this is the first of many appearances I'll make on it.
And as you can tell by the quality, we're testing out our new Sony camera for this podcast.
So the first game that occurred was Ohio State versus Miami in the Cotton Bowl. And Miami won the game, much to nobody's surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I told you it was going to happen. I told you it was going to happen.
Predicted on the first podcast.
I did predict this one.
No, we didn't put that in, but yeah.
It's in there. No, it's in there
it's
somewhere.
in
It's in there
there.
somewhere. I told you.
Sure.
Yeah. Why don't you say your opinions?
So first off, me and Shield, we were at a New Year's Eve party. Obviously, we had to put the game on. You know, we both want Miami to beat Ohio State. We're very. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a big Michigan fan, but I would say I'm a very big hater of Ohio State. I personally think that, they were very overrated going into the year. And I think they were overrated. I think they had an overrated schedule. And I think Miami really proved that tonight. We'll get more into it as we discuss further. But I think Ohio State, everybody was hyping up their defense. But how about that Miami defense? It was incredible. Miami just completely shut them down for the first half. And they weathered the storm in the second half, and their offense did just enough to pull them out to victory. I don't want to say Ohio State has a bad team or anything, but they were definitely overrated, right? You agree with that?
I think so. I think that this happens a lot, though. This happens a lot. I don't know the last time they won the Big Ten, but it's been years.
A lot.
When's the last time they won the Big Ten?
Yeah, when's the last time they won the
5
Big
years
Ten?
now?
I don't know, man. You're asking the wrong
6.
guy.
I don't even know.
It's
Was
been
it
a
even
while.
this decade? Maybe the start?
I think it was 2020 when they had that
2020
fraud win against Northwestern.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yeah, Trey Sermon, I remember
They
that.
always do this, though. I'm not making fun of their talent because they
Why is that a fraud win?
Because they were 6-0. They were 6-0.
Yeah,
They played
well,
6
that's
games. in
'cause
the
Oh, that
COVID
was
year.
the COVID
COVID
season.
year.
It's like the COVID year.
Exactly.
The COVID
That's
year
the
doesn't
point.
count.
Does not count.
Does not
But
count.
I want to
Yeah,
say
you're
this.
right. Exactly.
I want
They didn't win. You're right.
I want to
You're
make
right.
I want to make this clear though. They do always get a lot of talent. They always get the NIL since it was introduced.
Yeah.
Recruiting's always good. The transfer portal. But there's one thing that Ohio State always does. They always choke when it matters. No team has done so little with so much than
Did you
Ohio
get that
State.
from Dave Portnoy?
No, it's just true. It's just true.
I think that, Ohio State has a great defense, and, I think they have some great offensive weapons. I think, obviously you got Jeremiah Smith and Cardinal Tate out there. You have Brandon Inniss as their wide receiver 3. You have the true freshman Bo Jackson as their running back. You got Julian Sand, who was playing really well, honestly. He was playing really well this year, but he didn't really play in that many big games if you saw. We'll talk about that more later, but on defense, this defense, Caleb Downs, Arvell Reese, Caden Curry, McDonald, Sonny Styles, they got 4 or 5 first-round picks out there. And it's not necessarily to say that the defense played bad out there or anything. I don't think the defense had a horrible performance, but it definitely wasn't up to their standards, You expect that Ohio State defense, you expect them to let Miami, who had scored 10 points to a worse Texas A&M team, they only scored 10 points.
With all that talent, you would think that.
Miami goes out there and scores, I know they only got pick 6, but even 17. That was the most Ohio State allowed all year long. And I don't know. I think I was a little disappointed by the Ohio State defense. I don't necessarily think it was a bad performance, but it certainly wasn't. It was definitely their worst of the year, if I had to say. That and the Indiana game.
Is it my turn to speak?
Yeah, go
What
ahead.
you have to say?
Say what you have to say about that.
As an Ohio State supporter, I won't say I'm their biggest fan, but if I had to follow a college football team, it'd be Ohio State. So as an Ohio State supporter,
Fanboy.
yeah, sure, fanboy. What Zach said is not incorrect at all. I think when it really comes down to coaching issue, technically Ryan Day has a national championship, but he's like Aaron Boone,
Oh, what?
He's
Aaron Boone.
He's not Aaron Boone.
He's like Aaron Boone, let's be
Aaron Boone.
honest here. He has all the talent, but sometimes
It's
just
worse than that.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It's not-
I
it's
hate
not-
Ohio State, but I don't hate them that much.
It's
That's
the
what
players'
I
fault
wanted.
as well.
Yeah.
We blame the players as well.
But it's like you said, man, they do so much or so little with so much.
That's true. They
It's
do.
like it comes down
You
to
didn't
agree.
issue.
Even the super fan
I
agrees.
was something. You talked about the defense doing bad. I don't think the offense played that well either, to be honest.
No.
They did not. Nobody thought they were gonna score that little.
Yeah.
People thought they would cover the spread against Miami.
Yeah, here.
But I
Oh, you got your.
there's one play I want to talk about, the pick six.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be a screen pass, but I don't know if this was Jeremiah Smith's fault or not. He didn't block.
Yeah, we were watching the
He
game.
just didn't block.
It kind of looked like Smith was about to run a route,
That's
and then it
right.
looked like he was about to block, but we couldn't really tell if it was the play call or
I don't know.
I don't know what was going on in that play, but you know.
I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of miscommunication, and it's the talent too. They didn't
just
live up
played
to
a
their
bad game.
expectations.
There's nothing else really. They played a bad game. Clearly, Miami was more ready for them than Ohio State expected them.
Yeah, and we can get into this later. We got like the curse of the bye week or whatever. We could talk about that later in the podcast, but I really just want to highlight that this game was won and lost in the trenches. I really think that Ohio State's defense, they did get after Carson Beck. They had a couple of sacks. I don't even know if that, you can fact check me if I'm wrong. They might even had more sacks than Miami. I don't think they did though. I don't think Ohio State's defense did. But it's not that they did a bad job. It's just that Miami's defensive line just completely outclassed Ohio State's. Ohio State has this great defensive line, and we know that. But Miami also has a great offensive line. Miami's offensive line played a great game out there, did a good job of stopping the rush. And on top of that, their defensive line completely outclassed Ohio State's. Ruben Bain, I know there's a couple other guys in the line, I can't think of their name right now, but they just got after the quarterback. They made Julian Sand uncomfortable, and we haven't seen Sand in many uncomfortable situations. Like the Texas game, for instance, earlier in the season, they didn't ask him to do a whole lot. They won 14-7. It's not like they blew him out the water. It's not like it was a shootout. They didn't ask him to do much. He
And
did
that
what
was
he had
Arch
to do.
Manning's first ever game.
That was Arch Manning's
He got
first
better
ever
after
start
that.
too. Actually, not first ever start, but it was first start of the
First
season.
ever, yeah.
So you had two quarterbacks who really were inexperienced playing that game. So we really didn't see those teams to their full potential, and he didn't really have to do anything that he wasn't like outside of his comfort zone. So I think the Indiana game was the first game we really saw him do stuff outside of his comfort zone, and we saw in that game he could be rattled. He made mistakes in that game. He made mistakes in the Michigan game too. He was able to come back in that game, but we saw the flaws in the Michigan game. We saw the cracks. Michigan put out the blueprint. Indiana executed
What
the blueprint.
What blueprint?
Hey,
Whoa, what
hey,
blueprint?
hey,
What
hey, hey.
blueprint?
No.
Explain to me the blueprint.
I'll tell
that
you the
happened in
blueprint.
that game. I will argue I will argue any other game, but the Michigan game, I will argue that.
You guys only won because Michigan's coach was obviously focused on other
What
things.
can spend more time in the end zone than your whole entire offense? What are you talking about?
But you're acting like the
Act like what?
The Michigan team.
I think his name is Brutus.
Oh, that's bad. See, I'm not a big Ohio State fan.
I think
Buckus.
I think
I cut
the
one
Michigan team is a little less talented than the Ohio State team.
What's your quarterback?
He's getting there.
He played at flashes.
He's a true
against
freshman,
us.
unlike
Yeah.
Sand. Sand's not a true
This is his
freshman. Let's
first
put that out
ever
there.
season. One of his first big games, and he didn't have a
Here,
coach that could help him.
let me tell you why Ohio State. Let me tell you why Michigan put the blueprint out against Ohio State. They put the blueprint out of the way to beat Ohio State is to run the damn ball, to control the clock. And Indiana did the same thing. If you are able to get enough 2, 3, 4 yard runs and wear that Ohio State defense down, you don't need to pass the ball a whole lot. You only need to pass when you have the ability to. Now, Bryce Underwood, he's still developing. He's still young. He wasn't really able to execute those passes, which I think is another reason why Michigan couldn't win that game. But Fernando Mendoza, the Heisman winner, was able to execute those passes, take the shots when he needed to at a high level, and they were able to run the ball, and that's really ultimately what Miami did as well. Miami ran the ball very well. Mark Fletcher, great game. I think he's an NFL prospect. I think he's going to be second or third round pick this year, or when he declares. I don't know if he's able to declare this year, but I just think that's the blueprint to beating Ohio State. And Michigan put it out there. You run the ball. If you have a really good defense, you make Julian Sand uncomfortable, and you get a quarterback who can pass the ball when they need to in those clutch situations. Carson Beck may have not had this super incredible uber game where he was just slinging it, but he made the passes and he made the right reads when he needed to. And I think that's ultimately why Miami was able to win this football game.
I agree. It's classic Big Ten football. You just run the ball. First down, run the ball. Second down, run the ball again. Third down, a little short pass, you restart the whole operation again. That's how the Michigan's been playing the last couple of years. That's how they beat them the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But they just don't have the quarterback for it this year.
I can name another reason.
But Indiana did.
Why do you think Ohio State lost then?
Certain teams cheating.
Oh, we're not. We're not talking about.
We're
that.
talking about the Miami game first of all right now.
You guys start bringing that up. We're talking about this
You
season.
said last few years as in the
No, no, we're-
as
oh,
in
He's
yeah.
very
as
focused,
in
obviously.
Michigan.
He's cheating this, cheating that.
focused.
I'm the one editing this video, by the way, so we can hit a lot of parts out.
Okay. Tell us why they lost then.
Lost one.
Tell us why they
Why
lost
they
to Miami.
collapsed these last
Oh,
two
Miami?
games.
Yeah,
they
even
did
Indiana. Like, why do you think that
I
they?
think you explained it very well.
Of course I did.
So yeah, they couldn't stop. It was the run.
I mean the run. It's just
When Ohio
their
State
offense
can't
was
dominate time of
stuttering.
possession, they lose.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like that's like any team.
No,
it's
like
not.
any team, though.
No.
like that, but that's the blueprint to beat them. As you saw, Ohio State actually did outgame Miami in this game. People don't understand that. The reason why Miami won is because, like Sheila said, they controlled the ball for longer. They ran the ball. They had longer drives. When Ohio State had the ball 17-14 and had to punt the ball, there was about 5-6 minutes left in the game. Miami was able to waste all of that clock and run the ball down, and they scored a touchdown. I mean, they didn't even have to score a touchdown there, but they just ran the ball, and they were able to get first down by first down. They went play by play, down by down. They didn't try to go for the big shot. Ohio State has a really good defense. They have a very tight system. They're not going to allow many deep shots. You know, you're not going to get those opportunities, especially on a drive like that. So they play conservative. They play the right way, and that's how you beat a team like Ohio State. Ohio State is a very disciplined team. They're very talented, but they have flaws.
Wait, that's another issue though. It's another issue. Ryan Day likes to be conservative in all these big games. That's another reason why they lost to Michigan.
Coaching issue.
That's another reason why.
Coaching
That's it. I'll give that.
Miami. Miami. I know you're.
Oh, against Miami, I don't think they were very conservative. They were attacking.
They were attacking in the moments that they needed to, but I feel like they could have attacked even more.
I'm talking about the Indiana game though.
In the Indiana game, they were very conservative.
They always play conservative, and it backfires because they have so much talent. They don't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to play like that kind of play. They could take shots. They have Jeremiah
agree.
Smith. They have all these receivers, Tate, but I don't know.
Jeremiah Smith had a great game, and they still lost.
That's one of the
because
coaching issues that they have to do.
I really think they didn't really even get anybody else outside of Jeremiah Smith very involved in that game. They ran the ball a little. I don't think they even ran the ball enough. They kind of stopped on the run once Miami was pinning down on it, but I think you have to have a very balanced attack in order to beat these higher level teams, especially Miami, who is an elite defense. You have to keep them honest, because if you're just going to keep on passing the ball, you're going to get situations where, like in the screenplay, they're able to read it and they're able to understand, okay, we know you're not running the ball. We see the wide receiver stack out here. You might be throwing a screen pass. So I think, honestly, Ohio State didn't have a very balanced attack, and I think that's another reason why they didn't beat Miami in that game. I was watching that game. I was very happy watching that game, obviously, and I noticed that there was just these small problems. I wouldn't say Ohio State has one major flaw. They're a very good team. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to admit that. But they have these tiny cracks that, if you watch these previous games, they were exposed. And Miami was able to take advantage of those cracks and fully burst it open and able to just execute at a higher level.
They don't know how to adapt.
Yeah, honestly, if I could say one sentence besides the trenches, they just executed at a higher level Miami in that game. Ohio State had some explosive plays. They had that one deep pass to Jeremiah Smith. They had the touchdown to Jeremiah Smith. They had a couple of big runs, but they really just couldn't keep things going, and they couldn't keep the execution on each play. Miami won more downs than Ohio State in that game, and this is ultimately why they won. Ohio State maybe had some bigger plays, some bigger explosives on certain plays, but overall, the majority of the plays were won by Miami. Anything else from you guys to say? Anything else you guys want to talk about in this game?
I think, they just don't know how to adapt.
I think we've covered it.
When the game plan's not going the way of Ohio State, they either resort to just passing the ball all the time, forgetting the run game, or they and then everything just goes bad. And they only do well when they have the lead to start, I feel like. They have to do good. If their game plan's going well, they'll win the game. But the second something goes off with their game plan, whether that's on the offense or the defense, that's when they start losing. And that's why they've lost big games in the past. But that's all I have to say.
I agree. Got anything to say, man?
I have nothing.
Is next year going to be better?
Who knows? I didn't even watch the game, so I couldn't even
Yeah,
tell
you
you
didn't
what my
watch
opinion
the
was on
game.
Shout out Ryan Day.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out, Coach.
Shout out Jeremiah Smith. Dog.
Jeremiah Smith. That's Greg's grass green? Yeah, it's okay, buddy.
What?
Shout out Jeremiah Smith.
Why can't I shout out Jeremiah Smith?
That is his guy.
I guess.
I'll give that to him.
Like I shouted out Mike Brown last video. Why can't I shout out?
Mike
Brown?
We got it. Yeah, he was on the little post.
Mike Brown's a little underrated. Jeremiah Smith, everybody knows about him.
Not to him. He said he's worse than Ryan Williams.
I was after one game.
I know Sheila has this take that Jeremiah Smith is worse than Ryan Williams.
Yeah. It was past it.
Can I say the quote that he told me?
That's a hill he could die on.
No, I don't want to die. I don't want to die on that.
Me and Shu were playing college football one day, and we're looking at the loading screen. He says to me, "Why is Jeremiah Smith taking all of Ryan Williams' shine on the cover?" Even though they share the cover, and explain yourself.
I mean, Ryan Williams did have a good first year. You know, these things. Sometimes you're wrong, and I'll admit when I'm wrong. But I can't wait till Jeremiah Smith goes to Miami next year.
Oh,
I cannot wait.
It could happen.
And when he does go back home to Miami,
you'll be celebrating.
I will be the first one to tell you he is the best wide receiver in college football.
Did you see the memes where they edited Ryan Williams out of the cover of CFP 26? You saw those?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about this is the Capital One Orange Bowl between Oregon and Texas Tech. I think Zach has a lot to say about this one, so he'll open it up.
There was a lot to talk about in this game, but we'll keep it short. I think the main thing about this game is that Texas Tech's offense sucks. Is horrible. Am I allowed to say, ass? Am I allowed to say that?
I didn't cut it.
Texas Tech's offense is ass. Okay? It's genuinely horrible. I don't know what Baron Morton was doing on that field, but he clearly wasn't playing football. He wasn't reading the field. He looked scared as shit out there. Honestly.
Oh, okay, you can't say that.
He looked scared out there. Let's put it like that. He looked scared out there. I don't know what he was looking at on the field, but he clearly wasn't looking at the receivers. Every time he got scared, he threw the ball to the running back, but he always underthrew it, and the running back couldn't catch the ball. Let me see how many targets the running backs had. The running backs had 6 receptions in this game, and they probably had a lot more targets. So the running backs made up almost half of their total receptions and targets in this game. So first of all, he was trying to be a check down merchant, and he couldn't even do that because a lot of the throws were incomplete. And I just didn't really understand why he was playing so bad. I mean, Texas Tech's offenses looked. I mean, I'm not saying it was the best offense of all time, but they were second or third in the nation in scoring. I get Oregon has a way better defense than any other defense they've seen, but it was to the point where it felt like if you throw in any other quarterback, it felt like they probably had a better shot than Baron Morton. I mean, I can read the stat line right now. 18 for 32, 137 yards. So he threw 32 attempts and he got 137 yards. 18 QBR. He had 2 interceptions. Great picks. Let me shout out this guy. True freshman from Oregon, Brandon Finney Jr. He played a great game. 2 interceptions on Baron Morton. One of them was actually so bad if you watch the clip. He had a pick 6, but he didn't expect to get the ball because Baron Morton threw it to a receiver that was double covered. So I think the quarterback was so stunned that he got the ball just to get in the end zone. He probably would have had a pick 6. It was that bad pick. It was a really bad game for the Texas Tech offense. And the running backs. You look at the stat line, you see that one of the running backs had 13 for 81. You're like, okay, that's a pretty good game. He had one of those on a 50-yard, kind of a fluky play. It was a 50-yard play. Outside of that, 12 carries for, 31 yards? That's not that good. 11 carries for 29 yards for the other running back. Honestly, I was very disappointed by those Texas Tech running backs because they're both supposed to be really good players. You got one who had 868 yards, the other one put over 1,000 yards. They're supposed to be a really good combination, but it didn't look like that physicality to compete with Oregon. Oregon's defense was just out physical. I didn't see a single running back break a tackle. I didn't see a single receiver break a tackle. It was as soon as they got touched, they were down. It felt like. So Texas Tech offense was horrible. And, I do want to shout out the Oregon defense. I want to shout out Brandon Finney like I did. I want to shout out Mateo Ugalele, DJ Ugalele's younger brother. He played a great game. He had a strip sack fumble. Who also had 2 sacks. Takes him to Yoti. He had 2 sacks as well. I want to shout him out. Oregon's defense played a really good game. They came to play. Dan Lanning had his boys ready, obviously, but Joe McGuire did not. Joe McGuire didn't look like he wanted to be there, honestly. I thought the Texas Tech head coach wasn't making the right calls. I don't know who their offensive coordinator is. He clearly wasn't making the right calls either. Now we get into Texas Tech defense and Oregon's offense, because that was the real highlight of the game. Oregon's offense kind of actually struggled in this game. It was 23-0, but really, they got gifted one of those touchdowns because of a fumble recovery. It was really 6 yards. And even the other touchdown they scored, they got gifted as well on turnover and downs. Texas Tech defense honestly played a great game. I think the longest drive they allowed was 50, 60 yards, and Oregon had a fight for those yards. They had a couple of 4th downs on that drive that they converted on. Texas Tech's defense, not offense. Defense really locked in on that game. I thought they did a great job. I was really impressed by David Bailey. David Bailey's going to be a hell of a player in the NFL. Yeah, I don't know if you've seen the meme. He had no aura, no drip. He has nothing on his hands. He just has the jersey on. It's rolled up. He just there for straight violence, honestly. And he played great. I thought the defensive line played great. I thought Lee Hunter on the Texas Tech defense played great. I thought Ben Roberts, their other linebacker, outside of Jacob Rodriguez, also played a really good game. I think Ben Roberts had an interception in that game as well against Dante Moore. I thought Dante Moore didn't have a bad game necessarily, but it certainly wasn't his best game. He struggled, but he did what he needed to do against a very good Texas Tech defense. So I just want to shout out the Texas Tech defense for showing up, because clearly the other side of the ball is not. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to say.
Let me add something. I think that the Texas, based on what I watched at least, I saw the Texas Tech defense got a lot of 4th down stops against Oregon and their offense.
Yeah, let me do a fact check on that. You can keep going.
So I think that they gave the chances to their offense to perform, but at the end of the day, the offense just let them down. So, yeah, I feel bad for the defense there.
Yeah, if I go to team stats here, on 4th down, Oregon was 4 for 8. 50% isn't necessarily...
8 attempts.
Yeah, 4 for 8 attempts. You got them to 8 attempts. They were 4 for 19 on third.
And I think a lot of those, like the misses were in like scoring position.
Yeah.
Right.
Oregon only had less than 100 yards more than Oregon had 309 yards. Texas Tech had 215. So Oregon really didn't outgain Texas Tech by that much. So I honestly, and Texas Tech had 4 turnovers, by the way. I just want to put that out there. 4 turnovers.
Okay, we got cut off, but I think just to wrap up the
Orange Bowl.
Thank you. The Orange Bowl.
Capital
One.
Capital
Sorry,
One.
Capital
Don't
One
forget, man.
Orange Bowl. There was a talk about the buys and whether or not teams on the buys are at a disadvantage, due to being away, having time off. And I think it really comes down to certain games. Like last year, we had teams on bye like Boise State and Arizona State. It's not to say that they were bad teams at all, but it's pretty clear that the teams they played, like Penn State and Texas, were the clear favorites. And Arizona State almost beat Texas, so I think it really depends what games you look at. Last year, Oregon played Ohio State. I think Oregon has had a bad game overall. Ohio State just beat them. That is what it is. Georgia against Notre Dame. Georgia was out without Carson Beck, and even Gunnar Stockton almost led them to victory. But
yeah, I mean, even in that game, Notre Dame had like a kickoff return touchdown. And without that touchdown, it's a pretty damn close game. So like, it's not even crazy to say that. Like, I know it was 23-10, but that game was a lot closer than like the score suggests.
And then this year, Indiana's technically the only team on bye to win, but it's not to say that Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas Tech were good teams, and it's not that they played bad either. It's just they just lost the games, and I think
Besides Ohio State,
and Texas Tech played pretty bad too.
Ohio State played worse. We can say that.
We can say they all underperformed.
We can say Ohio State underperformed.
Yeah, sure, but it's not like they were bad teams at all. I don't think the bye had as big as an effect as people might think, and
okay. Rose Bowl sponsored by Prudential. Zach here is big on sponsors.
Yeah. You remember when it used to be the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl and the Tostitos? Like, that's my jam. Like,
the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl was the best sponsor. I
agree.
That was the best one.
Yeah.
But to transition to this game here, if we want to talk about one team that broke the bye week curse, we can talk about the Indiana Hoosiers, who they just dominated Alabama and killed them
I don't think
basically.
there's much to say about this game, besides the fact that Alabama was completely outclassed, completely embarrassed, and a complete misrepresentation of the beautiful scenery that is the Rose Bowl.
Fernando Mendoza is going to the Raiders. Now we 100% know that's happening.
Oh yeah, for sure.
After this
Thank you, Deontay Banks.
Thank you, Deontay Banks, for that one. And yeah, I think Alabama. I don't know what that was. They don't win big games, I guess, too nowadays. Similar to another team. Let me finish this. And then I was gonna say one more thing here about Alabama. Oh yeah, it just I don't know. They didn't seem ready from the start, and it did seem like they were trying to get Ryan Williams involved this time around, but it just seemed like they were focusing. I think when he gets the ball, like designated plays, that's where he thrives, at least this year. But when they try to force it to people, it's just not gonna work. And I don't know. They were just not prepared. Kurt Signetti, great coach, great turnaround in Indiana these last 2 years. You gotta respect that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that the committee in the future is gonna see this loss from Alabama, and they're gonna wonder what to do with them in the future.
They should.
It's not the same in Alabama anymore.
They won't. They're fine.
That's one
Who's
thing.
your daddy? That's what I want to say. Who's your daddy? Because Indiana that was straight BTA, belt to ass on Alabama. Like, I think when I watched that game, the thing that impressed me the most was the offense, Indiana's offensive line. Like, it was just some plays. Like, if you watch that last touchdown run, you see the center. I think it was the center. I don't know if it was Pat Coogan. I think that's his name. I'm not sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I see him push the Alabama player, pancake his ass into the floor on that run, and you're already up 31-3. That's the type of
they won player of the game. The offensive line.
Yeah, they did, and they should. They damn deserved it. They played great against Alabama. They completely neutralized that defensive line. The first couple of plays, Alabama had some pressures. I know they went in a 3-and-out. Fernando Mendoza got sacked twice in 3 plays, but after that, it was completely neutralized. Indiana scored on their next 6 or 7 drives. I mean, Mendoza, he made some good throws, but he really didn't need to do much. That running game, Alabama couldn't stop the run for their life, and that's really what killed them. Mendoza was just the cherry on top in this game, honestly. And that Indiana defense, I mean, D'Angelo Pons would play a great game. He shut down on the the cornerback end, and I just think Indiana's defense completely outclassed Alabama's defense.
I think there's one play where it was like ties.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't slide there.
He didn't slide. He got hurt, and that's just ended it.
I honestly think that was the momentum swinger. If Alabama gets that, maybe they get a field goal. Maybe it's only a 7-point game with Alabama getting the ball at the half. But he doesn't slide. He fumbles the ball. It's 17-0 at half. That's really killed. Like, honestly, there was a quote by Kirk Herbstreit in the game. It felt like Alabama was just there. They didn't want to play. They didn't have any intensity. And really, it was kind of sad. Like, I think Alabama under Saban would never have played like that. Honestly, it's just like, I look at DeBoer, I'm like, what he did at Washington, and I respected it so much. You look at everywhere else all he's done is win. And now the winningest program, or one of the winningest programs in history, it just feels like it's just such a disappointment, honestly. I get it's not the same Alabama. I get that, maybe they don't have the same talent because Saban's not there as a recruiter, but it was just sad. Yeah?
Yeah.
Anything you want to say, Gavin, as well?
I think you guys pretty much nailed it on the coffin. When you think like Alabama, you think of dynasties. You think of like the Patriots. You think of like the Warriors. Sometimes dynasties just fall, and like the Warriors, they're not doing well right now. Clearly, Alabama has lost its way. Unfortunately, the Patriots are kind of back, but I think Alabama needs to look itself in the mirror and really look at next year as they need something to change. Clearly.
Kalen DeBoer, Michigan doesn't want you anymore. And they made the right decision.
Kyle Whittingham.
They made the right decision.
Okay, we're going to talk about the last game now, and I think Shil Patel has it all covered here. Shil?
We're saving the best for last. Wow. What a game. The best Sugar Bowl ever.
Why are you talking like that?
It was
Why
the best one.
Like
It was the best one. And what a performance by the Ole Miss Rebels. What a performance. Look at the jersey. Look at the jersey. Jackson Dart. I don't know if the camera could pick it up.
My king.
But what a performance by the Ole Miss Rebels. Nobody needed Lane Kiffin. He could leave. He could do whatever he wants at LSU. That was all the players that performed yesterday. And it all started with one person, the quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss. What a performance from D2 to D1 this year. I said he should have been in the Heisman conversation, and now everybody knows that he might not even have to come back next year. He could go to the draft. That was
possible.
That was a performance of the ages. He delivered when he had to. He made some plays like he was Patrick Mahomes out there, scrambling around, throwing the ball. You could tell. You agree?
Oh, yeah, I watched the game.
I'll say this. It was not a good start by them. It was not a good start by any means. I mean, they did score first. They got the touchdown. That was good.
6-0. They got the 2 field goals first.
I'm sorry. The 2 field goals. Oh, what a kicker. What a kick. 50.
Yeah, what's his name? Let's shout him out. Well, we got to shout him out. What's his name? Lucas Carneiro. You will be kicking on Sundays in September.
I think he's a transfer. He transferred to Ole Miss
from Western Kentucky.
Yep.
I remember hearing that in the broadcast.
Guess who would have had him? Guess who should have had him? Maybe Ohio State, but they didn't get him.
Yeah, they don't employ good kickers.
But he kicked one from 55, the career long.
And then he kicked a 56.
And then he broke that career long next possession in a 56, 6-0 lead. Then they were down 6-7. And then
okay.
And then
you really need to stop.
I had to, And then there was a turning point in the game when Kewan Lacey, great running back, one of the best in the nation, by the way, fumbled the ball, led to a touchdown for Georgia, and then everybody kind of thought it was maybe over. Because when Georgia has a lead, especially going into the second half, they do not usually let up. They usually get better in the second half. And then there was one possession at the end of the second half, first half actually, where Ole Miss was about to get in field goal range, and it was Daquan Wright, the tight end, number 8.
Did you have a prop on him?
I did have a prop on him, over 29.5 receiving yards. It did not
gamble?
We do not condone gambling on this podcast, but may or may not have a prop on him. Regardless of that, he made a boneheaded play, did not go out of bounds, and then for some reason Trinidad thought he thought he had a first down, tried spiking the ball, it was 4th down, you can't do that. And then Joe Judge, who's supposed to be in charge of getting the special teams out to the field.
Game management.
Management. That's been his job, because now that all the roles are reset after Layton left, that's his job, to bring the special teams out and manage the offense, and he obviously not do a good job there.
Question?
Yeah.
Is this the same guy who ran a quarterback sneak on
Yep. What against that team right there, same Joe Judge still tormenting us 4 years later.
Who's us?
Tormenting me to this day 4 years later. I think that QB sneak was like early January too, so this could have been 4 years here, but
That was week 17, 18.
Yeah, it was the last week of the season.
It's like we're getting there, almost 4 years from that one. But second half, what a performance by the Ole Miss defense after not making Georgia punt once the whole time the first matchup, punt after punt, stop after stop. They did have an issue with that one fake punt, but that's just inexperience because this is their first time ever making it this far, which we're all surprised about if we're being honest here. But a team like Ole Miss, people said they weren't supposed to make it this far, and now Trinidad Chambliss, he's got everyone's attention now. I said last week they didn't need Lane Kiffin. They just needed 2 things: Trinidad Chambliss and Kejuan Lacey. 2 rushing touchdowns from Kejuan Lacey. And that big one at the end, and he also was the one that connected with Trinidad in those like crazy plays. And that one deep shot at the end, and dribbling at the end to set up the game-winning field goal. The MVP was either Trinidad or the kicker, in my opinion.
Or Wallace.
Shout out Lucas.
Wallace was good too. They've always had a very balanced offense, which I like about them. There's no one star on that team. Any of those playmakers can do well.
Yeah.
But I think that this showed that it's not about the coaching. I mean, they had Charlie Weiss. He's been calling the plays all year. It's never been Lane Kiffin. So that's why I said Lane Kiffin leaving, it didn't really make that much of a difference.
Fraud Kiffin.
I think that his offense was still called. It was Charlie Weiss. He's going to go to LSU next year, but his offense was still there. Same play caller. And then there was one thing that they actually fixed that I said they had to fix last podcast. It was the red zone. They converted in the red zone when they had that one stop on 4th down. But other than that, especially in that third quarter, every opportunity they went in the red zone. And that's how you beat Georgia. You have to convert on your chances. And then that defense, they stepped up. Pete Golding.
Yeah.
He outdid himself. He proved why he was a coach.
Oh, I got it. Take shoes. I was gonna say Pete Golding had his boys ready. Honestly, like I think we all knew, or I at least know, if you watch Ole Miss, you know they had the offense, they had the firepower to compete with Georgia offensively. I honestly think Ole Miss has the better offense. And honestly, Ole Miss outgained Georgia by 130 yards. I just checked the stats. It was 473 to like 340 or something like that. Ole Miss's offense is explosive. Trinidad, he puts up those numbers.
He does.
He was D2 from Ferris State. Yep. He won the national championship. How many times at Ferris State? Twice.
I think.
Twice. It was twice. No, it was twice. It was twice.
Oh, yeah.
2-time national championship winner.
No, once as a starter, I think.
Oh, once as a starter? Okay. But still, he knows what it's like to play for a winning program. He's a great quarterback. Kejuan Lacey, sophomore. He's going to be an NFL draft pick next year. He can't declare this year. But honestly, I thought what I was most impressed about was the Ole Miss defense. Like I just said, Georgia got outgained by 130 yards. And Georgia scored a defensive touchdown. So really, they only scored 27 points on offense. And I really thought, outside of a couple of plays, that it could have been even less. You had that fake kick that really set it up. And then from the fake kick, you had a couple of Gunnar Stockton plays where it was like he was just laying himself out to make the play. Gunnar Stockton, what am I going to say? Props to him.
He's a dog.
He's a dog. He is literally a dog.
I'll give him credit.
I'll give him credit where credit is due. He's a dog. He took some shots, and ultimately, but outside of those shots that he took and those plays where it's like he had to give his life on the line, really Ole Miss's defense locked down. And I think the most important part of where Ole Miss's defense locked down is I think the trenches is where they really beat Georgia. And Georgia is really good in the trenches. Now, Georgia's running back, you look at the stats, 5.7 yards a carry. A lot of that was in the first half. I didn't see a lot of good carries in the second half. I really didn't. And I think that Trinidad Chambliss' legs, able to move around, navigate the pocket. I know Gunnar Stockton's a pretty athletic quarterback. And I know that he does a pretty good job navigating as well. And I know he did the best he could. But Trinidad really made it happen. A couple of Mahomes-esque plays. A little Mahomes out there. It was a little Mahomes out there. And Ole Miss's defense really stepped up when they needed to. Ole Miss, I'll give you one instance. Ole Miss was up by 3. Georgia had the ball, 3 and out. But Kirby Smart wants to be bold for some reason. He wants to go for it on 4th and 2.
And he got smacked by
Dialed
Perkins.
up a perfect blitz.
Smacked him.
Perkins with the sack.
Number 4.
Ole Miss set it up for a touchdown.
What's his first name?
It's not Harold Perkins. I think it's
Soutine.
Soutine Perkins. Yeah.
I'll talk about that in a second.
Time to pronounce that one.
Yeah, so I honestly think that Ole Miss's defense really stepped up in this game when they needed to, and that was ultimately the difference between this game and the first game they played. Because in the first game they played when Georgia won, they didn't punt a single time. The Ole Miss defense could not stop a nosebleed. Honestly, Ole Miss's offense was the one putting up a lot of the heavy lifting in that game. But this time, the Ole Miss defense, they played complementary football. And honestly, that sequence at the end where they really played complementary football with that fourth down stop was the biggest reason why they won this game.
I want to shout out some players here.
Yeah, shout out some players.
We're going to shout out some players here on the defense. Because you wouldn't expect this. This is a very offensive-centered team. Mm-hmm. It's been that way since Lane arrived.
Yeah, honestly, I thought last year was their best year.
Before Lane, it was very defensive-centered.
Yeah, but last year they had Walter Nolan. I thought last year was their best chance. But no, this year their defense is, it's put into another gear.
A lot of people said they were the worst defense left in the playoffs. There's some players. Xavier Harris, I don't know if you saw him, always on the ground after, they took a crazy, there's a couple of injury timeouts because he couldn't get up. He's just tackling like crazy. I want to highlight Will Eccles. He won the defensive player of the game. Mm-hmm. Great performance there. Mm-hmm. All these players, what I noticed was when Georgia had to run the ball, they had some gashes in there. But when it was third and short or second and short, and they ran the ball, they were getting stuffed every single time. Mm-hmm. And there was the pass rush that really started it all. I know that at the end of the game, these refs, they did miss some calls. I don't agree with the face mask miss, obviously.
Yeah,
Which lost Ole Miss the ball. And then on top of that, they granted Georgia a pass interference when the wide receiver was taking the face mask off the defender.
Honestly, a couple of pass interferences. There was one earlier in the game, too, that I thought was a little fishy.
Georgia had a lot of chances given to them by the refs, and then you'd think that they would convert, that this Ole Miss defense would lose morale. But they didn't. They were on the field a lot in that second half, and they converted when they had to on their stops. And there was some adversity, the fake punt, obviously. That's all inexperience. That's you're not going to get that from another team. That's
you got a head coach.
It's a new head coach. First time ever in the college football playoffs. That's going to happen. But I think that when they're on, they can beat anybody. They might not have the same talent as all the other teams, but they do have the heart, that's for sure. And it starts with the offense.
Starts with Trinidad.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All right, Gavin.
Yeah, as you can tell throughout this whole entire video, I haven't watched many of these college football playoff games. In fact, yesterday I was bowling.
Say Trinidad.
Yeah,
Say
Trinidad.
Yes, I was in fact bowling last night, and this game was on in the back. And at first, it looked pretty rough for Ole Miss. Trinidad, he really stepped up in the second half, and it's really cool to see Ole Miss, step up to the occasion. Because I did an Ole Miss dynasty, back in college football, and in fact, I did win the national championship with Ole Miss.
You did it first.
With guys like last year, like Trey Harris, like Walter Nolan. This year you got Perkins, and it's cool to see now that Ole Miss actually has a legit chance of winning the Natty this year.
Cinderella run.
Mm-hmm.
Trinidad Chambers, 13 straight completions in the second half. Broke the Sugar Bowl record, which is Tim Tebow's record.
I think his only incompletions were those throwaways on those last three.
He did have one bad pass after the deep ball to dribbling where he almost threw a pick, but after that it was just throw away, throw in.
Yeah.
You trust your kicker. He's amazing. And then what a game.
I honestly think that I don't think it's a hot take to say that Trinidad Chambers is the third best quarterback in this draft class. I thought that before even going into this game, and I know he's not the biggest player. I know, people are going to criticize that. People are going to criticize that he's an Ole Miss offense. But we saw what Jackson Dart can do in the NFL. I know Jackson Dart is still a very raw player, but he has the traits, and I think Trinidad...
You got cut off, but Zach wanted to finish.
So like I was saying about Trinidad Chambers, I honestly think that he's the third best quarterback in the draft class. I think that, a lot of people doubt him, or a lot of people have doubted him even before this game because... he's a little bit on the shorter side. I think he's 6 foot. He's taller than Kyler Murray, I could tell you that for sure. He's taller than Bryce Young, I could tell you that for sure. But I don't know if he's taller than any other starting quarterback in the NFL. He also is, in the Ole Miss offense, which a lot of people like to critique, Ole Miss's offense. But we saw what Jackson Dart can do. I get Jackson Dart's a little bit taller, but Trinidad has a really good arm. He has really good intangibles. He's a really smart player. He's 23. He's very smart. He's very good. Sorry, I said smart twice, but he just has a very good understanding of the game. I honestly think that he is the third best quarterback in this draft behind Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza, and I just want to shout him out and say that he's balling and he's going to keep balling, and I think he can make a lot of money this off season if he decides to declare for the draft.
To add on to that, I think he should. Like I said, I think he should be in the Heisman. He wasn't, obviously. And I think he does have a bright future, whether he decides to declare. I don't think he will.
I don't think he will either.
I think he's probably going to LSU, if I'm going to make a prediction here. And that's probably the best decision for him, because that's his offense. That's his offensive staff are going there. But if he wants to stay and he does well, that'll just boost his draft stock even more. So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the things that he did last night, I think that those things you can't really teach. You can't like tell someone to do that. Those are things you look at and you're like, that's a QB I want on my NFL team. So I think that, because you don't see a lot of quarterbacks like that.
No.
That can like run around like that, just throw. That was just generational performance. So I think he does have a bright future, especially if he keeps this up going into next year. And I will say this, I've never seen Jackson Dart do some of those things that he did last night. He might have had, I would say that, he had a better performance than I've ever seen Jackson Dart have, and I've watched many Jackson Dart games.
Yeah, I don't think it's a hot take to say that he's a better quarterback than Jackson Dart was.
He might not have the size, he might not have all that, but in terms of like...
Yeah, I think he's got an arm. He's got an arm, too.
He can run, he has an arm. I'm not saying he's going to be better than Jackson Dart in the league, but in terms of college performance, yesterday's performance was better than anything I've seen in a long time from quarterback in general, or at least from Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Oh, we could do picks. We'll do picks. So I think you want to go first. You go first.
You go.
No, you go.
I'm going first.
Yeah.
Okay, so looking at next week's games, I think Ole Miss can beat Miami, and I think they will. And looking at Oregon and Indiana, I feel like I've doubted Indiana for too long, so I'm going to go with Indiana, and I predicted Indiana, Ole Miss, Natty.
Yeah, so Indiana, Oregon, I've been a Hoosier fan for a good part of the year. My teams, Baylor, Boston College, really not that good at all. So when I was choosing for a team to root for, I just saw Indiana. I love the story. They're the second most losses in NCAA D1 history. And I'm like, I really just I want to see them win. And they beat Oregon before. And I think they can replicate it again. So I got Indiana winning that game. Ole Miss, Miami. I think if Ole Miss's offense can keep that up, especially I think the running game is going to be the most important thing. If they can keep the running game up against that Miami defensive line, I think they can win. But if Miami can run well against Ole Miss, I think that they can win that game. I think this game is going to go. I think it will be a very close game. I don't think it will be as high scoring as the Sugar Bowl. And because I don't think it will be as high scoring, I do think Miami will win. But I could definitely see Ole Miss winning this game. So I'm going to have a Miami Indiana National Championship as my prediction.
Not so fast there.
You're Lee Corso.
Not so fast there.
Where's your headgear? Put it on?
This is his headgear.
Headgear. But yeah, I think that we get one side of the bracket. I think we all agree on. I think Oregon for sure will beat Indy. Oh no, Oregon will lose. I'm sorry. Oregon will lose to Indiana. I think Indiana's been the best team all year. They have a good offense, good defense. There's not a lot of flaws with them. So I think they have the best coach right now in college football. And if there's one team I would trust going forward, it's probably them. So I think they do beat Oregon. They beat them earlier in the year. And I think they make it to the finals. Now looking at Miami, Ole Miss, I think it's going to have to be a similar game in terms of game planning for Ole Miss. They're going to have to rely on their defense. I think their offense is going to make plays when they have to. They have all year. The offense is usually never the issue. It's the defense coming unraveled and the inexperience. So I think that they're going to have to just lock in again, stop the run, and then the pass rush. That's the big key again. They can get some stops on Miami. I think that's how they win the game. And yeah, I think that if anything, the inexperience would be the reason why they lose.
Yeah, but he's going to have Ole Miss win.
I do think Ole Miss will win because I think if you can beat Georgia and you can beat the best coach, right? Like in terms of success in college football, right?
Yeah, I honestly would say Kirby Smart is the best coach. I mean, you could say Kurt Cignetti because of the recent success.
I think right now Kurt Cignetti is the best coach, but in terms of success, there's nobody right now better. If you can beat him, if you can outcoach him, and they performed better than Georgia, like clearly. Mm-hmm. I think that if you can do that, I think that anything is possible. So no matter what happens, the Cinderella story may continue or not, but I think there's a lot to be proud of regardless. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. I think it will be Indiana, Ole Miss, and then who knows? Maybe Ole Miss wins it against Indiana. But yeah,
maybe.
Okay, so that about wraps up the second episode of our podcast. We appreciate Zach coming on here to be our guest for
See.
be our first ever guest on this podcast. And since Sheila's going to be gone and leaving next week, there's a big void to fill in this podcast. And I think Zach will definitely come back for sure. And we have a lot more to talk about in sports since you're a big sports guy. And
yeah, I hope to be back for a couple of episodes, especially when Sheila's gone. He's getting shipped out, honestly, for military service. I'm just kidding. He's going abroad. He's going abroad to Barcelona. Madrid, sorry. I always get the two mixed up.
It's okay.
And yeah, I'm a big sports fan, honestly. You know, I just want to shout out my teams right now. First, obviously, I got the Taylor Heineke jersey on. I'm a big Washington Commanders fan. You know, this year, you know, we could talk about that maybe in another episode even longer. You know, been a very big disappointment, but I think they can turn around next year. You know, hopefully a playoff spot is on the horizon next year.
Let's not get too excited.
Basketball, you know, I'm a big Spurs fan. I've been watching a lot of the games this year. I would say I've watched like 50 to 75% of the games this year.
The NBA Cup was one of them.
NBA Cup was one of them, but it doesn't count towards our record.
Where's the trophy?
It's okay. It counts towards Wemby's game requirement, but so that's all that matters. We need Wemby to get to 65 games.
Yeah.
But baseball, I'm a big baseball fan. I follow the Mets. Unfortunately, they didn't have a very good season to end the year.
Yo, so Devin Williams or Edwin Diaz? Like, say hypothetically you're a GM and you have to pick
we
one.
We know who we're actually picking. We're picking Edwin Diaz, but unfortunately, that's not what the Mets
now,
did.
Pete Alonso or another first baseman that you have no idea who you're getting?
Pete Alonso. But I understand the Pete Alonso one a little bit more than the Edwin Diaz one. Because Pete Alonso,
that's the face of the franchise.
Pete Alonso's pretty old. I don't think that contract's going to age very well. I mean, it'll be pretty good the first couple of years, but you know, I wasn't really as mad about Pete Alonso as I was about Edwin Diaz. But shout out to the Mets, you know.
Juan Soto.
Hopefully Juan Soto can bring us to glory next year in some capacity.
No. Every year.
Hockey, I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I'm really into college basketball and college football. You know, as you saw, I really do try to watch it intently. You know, I try to break down the prospects. I try to look into the game a little bit more. Same with college basketball. I feel like I'm pretty well versed on the two. You know, obviously, you know, I'm not somebody who like knows like all the analytics and all of that. But like I watch the game, so like I feel like my eyes, you know, do a good job of letting me know who's good and who's not. And UFC, I just started to get into. You know, I know Gavin's a very big UFC fan. Shout out to Gavin.
yeah, we're gonna have to have a UFC episode coming soon.
Yeah, definitely. And I think
Talk about Yuri.
my favorite fider is not Shield's favorite fighter is Yuri Prohaska.
He's mentioned Yuri.
My favorite fighter is Ilya Tapuria. You know, unfortunately he has a break right now.
No.
You know, he's had
Wait,
some
I like
great
that.
knockouts.
Wait. In my limited experience in the UFC field, the way he's like, it's pretty cool.
3 straight knockouts
That's pretty
against
cool.
Volk.
Guy.
Again, you have to think about it like this, Gavin. I know he beat all your champions.
Oh,
I just started watching UFC. I just started watching.
I don't hate Ilya Taporia at all. I think he's a badass champion. He's a killer. But he knocked out.
Islam
He's not being Islam.
Oh,
he knocked out Charles. Charles is my boy, and
I hope.
Okay.
I'm trying to talk about Charles. Can I talk about Charles?
Fine.
Yeah, I love Charlie.
I love him.
My favorite.
Just because you love him.
We have the mic.
Let me talk about Charles.
I mean, no, you can talk. I don't care.
Big Charles guy here. Go.
No, Charles Oliveira, my favorite fighter, and you know, I wanted him to run the title, and his favorite fighter knocked him out in like 2 minutes, and that was tragic. That was Shield's like first ever like title fight
ever
he watched.
time watching UFC.
You can go on Zach.
For sure.
It's terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
I was actually watching it with my girlfriend. We were celebrating. You know, we popped the champagne in a figurative sense.
I drove home in silence from B-dubs.
Oh, you should have seen his face after that one. No, we should record it.
No, you should have saw Shield's face.
I immediately texted Gavin after that.
We were trying to tell him who Ilya Taporia was. He's like, oh, Charles has a chance, you know. He sees his walkout, like, oh, this guy's tough.
I wanted Charles to win too.
Yeah, exactly. We saw Ilya's walkout. It was kind of tough, and then he saw the record. She was like, he's undefeated. I'm like,
no one told me that until I saw it myself.
Oh, you saw that?
Yeah.
Nobody said that.
And then she was like, he's gonna win.
Yeah, it was over. Once I saw the record, I was like, okay, we're done.
I'm gonna pull up the text of the day it happened.
What was that? June 317.
June 28th.
Something like that.
I said,
Wait, so he's fighting?
I said,
Islam?
Ilya. I said, I wish I bet now. What the fuck was that? Ilya is the GOAT. And then I said, hopefully we can get Ilya Islam, which.
Wait, is
hoping that's
Ilya Islam is the White House one?
I don't think so because Ilya's on
battling
hiatus
some,
right now.
divorce
but
things.
I hope it is. Let's just say if Ilya Islam happens,
I
I'm
have a
going to be
prediction.
rooting pretty
I
hard
have
for
a
Ilya.
prediction. Yeah, I think Ilya's gonna knock him out.
Yeah.
I think so. Because I don't like these like ones that do all like the wrestling stuff.
Yeah, all these
You just
Dagestan.
want to see them knock him out.
Don't run, Islam. Don't run. I'm calling you out.
You're calling him out.
I'm calling you out.
You're calling him
I'm
out.
calling you out on behalf of Ilya Taporia.
Oh, you and him are gonna do it.
Ilya, y'all boys.
I'll be behind the cage, and Ilya will be in the cage for me, and he'll beat you.
Yeah, Ilya versus Islam is my dream UFC matchup for the upcoming future, and we'll probably get into that in
And
the
you
UFC
think
episode.
you think Ilya's gonna win too?
Yes.
If it's at 170, no.
If it's at 170, then it's rigged. Okay. It should be at 165 or 155. They're gonna create a new catch.
Why'd your voice sound like that?
I have no idea. But yeah, I'm like Tyrese Halliburton.
Okay.
What the heck?
I have a voice change.
Like cat.
Oh.
After all that,
You want to say it to the mic?
after all that.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to talk about before we leave, Zach?
Here,
Give
go
me
ahead.
that mic.
Go ahead.
I just want to shout out my friends, Gavin and Shield. Thank you for
Okay.
inviting me onto the podcast.
Mm.
I want to shout out our jerseys. We got Bo Jackson. We got Taylor
This is
Heineke.
Zach's jersey, not
And we
mine.
got Jackson Cart here.
Cart.
Oh.
Jackson Dart. Sorry.
Oh no. Oh no.
So yeah, I just want to say thank you for having me on the podcast. I hope to be back soon. I hope that this podcast we can kind of like see like if you like a more animated side, if you like a more analytical side, like what you guys like more, so we can really hone in on that, or so they can really hone on that. I like to be a part of it, but
Yeah.
You are a part of it.
Yeah, you did some great work today. Lots of analytics,
yeah.
Today's episode is definitely more analytical.
So we'll see how.
We'll probably mix it up.
It was good though. It was good.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
that. You offered a different perspective.
I like to be opinionated but analytical.
It was good.